Hey guys, it's Anthony Bandier here bringing another roadside chat. Let's talk about running canines in hallways. Now, I'm going to focus on the 8th Circuit because the officer who asked this question is in the 8th Circuit, and this answer can really fluctuate between circuits. There is a circuit split on this issue, but generally speaking, the officer is saying, "Look, can you give me some more case law on running a canine and doing an open air sniff, which is basically just no reasonable suspicion, just, well, maybe you do have reasonable suspicion, but you want to run this dog in an apartment complex hallway." Okay, so let's talk about a few fundamentals before we dive into the two particular cases that control the answer. Number one is curtilage. Curtilage is defined as that area immediately adjacent to a home where domestic activities occur. A quintessential area of curtilage is your backyard, your garden, your porch, sometimes, usually your driveway, the driveway right next to your house, carports. These traditionally have been viewed as curtilage because you have domestic activities that occur there, right? And then you have something called open fields. Open fields is your property. You own it and you pay taxes on it, but it's not protected as nearly as much, if at all, by the Fourth Amendment, right? And so you can always cross that line, but that's for another day. So we're talking about curtilage. Now, apartments don't have a lot of curtilage. Think about it. The hallway is not curtilage, usually, because you don't have any exclusivity there. It's not your area. Your porch or like some kind of patio would be curtilage, but that's about it. It's very rare to have curtilage, a lot of curtilage at least, even around the apartment. But you can, and we're gonna actually see an example of that. Motels are another example. Motels almost never have any curtilage. Very rarely. I mean, like houses have a lot. Apartments can have some. Motels, hotels, and almost have none, right? Because there's no area outside of that room usually that's just for you. Now, there are always exceptions, but generally none. Okay, so let's go to two cases. The first one I want to talk to you about is United States versus Hines, and it's a case from actually 2023. So this is a case that kind of dealt with an officer running a canine in an apartment hallway, and definitely, the court, not curtilage. And they upheld it. And they said, look, but they upheld it in a kind of roundabout way. They said, look, at this point in time, the officer has good faith that the law of the land, in the 8th Circuit at least, does not prohibit this. But they kind of sidestepped the issue. They didn't attack it like head on, like, hey, can we, even run these dogs in these canines in an apartment hallway? By the way, I think the answer is yes, because we know the Supreme Court in a case called Jardines said that you can't run that canine in an area of curtilage. But again, hallways are not curtilage if you look at the factors that the courts use. But I think ultimately the answer is yes. But they basically said, look, at this point, officers that are doing it give good faith. Okay, so that's the 2023 case. I'll put a citation to that case below. But we do have to go back in time a little bit to a case from 2015 where the reverse happened in the 8th Circuit. And that's a case called United States versus Burston, Burston. What happened there is that Burston was on the first floor, okay, the first level. And there was this, common area next to his apartment, but Burston actually kind of used it for himself, okay? I want you to think like you have a patio area, maybe there was like bushes around, and yeah, it's technically not his, right? It's not like it's when he got his keys to his apartment. They said also you get that 10 feet around your next to your apartment. But what he did is he kind of like commandeered it in a way. And the court talked about he put a barbecue pit there. He had, there was the shrubs around it that kind of enclosed it. And, you could tell, and it was also kind of some sight screening. And really, if you looked at it, it would almost be like, it's kind of like his little, alcove and so forth. And the dog was run around that barbecue pit. And so I think he was keeping the drugs in the barbecue pit. And there, the court said that that actually was curtilage. That in a way, he actually created curtilage, right? I think that's potentially the right answer. I think you can create a reasonable expectation of privacy in certain situations. I'll give you another example. I don't have the case, in my brain, but I remember reading this case where this apartment was at the end of the hallway, and there was no other apartments down there. It was like one door just for this person. And what the person did was essentially set up kind of like a patio area, a porch, I should say, right? Chairs, plants, maybe smoking their cigarettes out there and so forth. And the court found that that actually was their curtilage because it wasn't common anymore, right? Especially because the person was at the end of the hall, and there's this, if you're going down that hall to that area, you're going to go see that person. And with those other things that they did, the chairs and so forth, they turned it into an area of curtilage in a sense. That's kind of what's happening in Burston, okay? So here's the takeaway. If you're in the Eighth Circuit, you got to be aware of areas that have been kind of converted into curtilage type places. Look for right next to the apartment. Look for the use. What is that particular area being used for? Is it being used for just transgressing between apartments? Or has that dweller done something above and beyond what normal people do, like the chairs, the barbecue, and so forth? Look for site screening. Look for any kind of enclosure, like the Burston talked about the bushes. Look for those 4 factors and determine for yourself, hey, does this person have a heightened expectation of privacy in this particular area? If you're saying yes, because of those 4 factors, then you probably should keep the dog away. However, compare that to Hines. If you're seeing things like open areas, people transgressing, there's nothing really to keep people out, people have to go through that area to get to their apartment, then you're probably okay. So, make good case law, right? Either way, talk about in your report why you think the person would not have expectation of privacy in there, because obviously these are very litigated issues. I hope this has helped. If you have a question for me, go to bluetogold.com. And my goal is for you to get it right every single time. Until next time, my friends, you stay safe.